I'm Morris Delacosta.
And I'm Ryan Payette. Morris, we're sitting in the expensive seats here at Bud Gardens. Yeah. Where's our popcorn? Where's our big bag of popcorn?
It looks like these are the cheap seats. You know, you can't see anything. Anyway, at least we're not behind the coach.
Well, we're supposed to talk about the OHL.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the game of the week they want to talk about.
How about that game of the week?
Flint and Kingston. Wow.
When would you have believed that? Like, seriously.
Yeah, no. Flint's 3-0. Unbelievable. Good start. Good for Flint.
Kingston,
right?
4-1. They're 4-1.
And they've scored. You know, they scored twice as many goals as they have at this point last year. So that, you know, a lot of credit to the organization. They couldn't score last year. It looks like they can score this year.
Look, you take a look at Kingston, and they're a really young team, but they came into Budweiser Gardens and taught the Knights a lesson on how to work. They worked really hard. They won a game. I don't know if that team's going to be able to keep that up, because supposedly that's still a pretty good division. Although, you know, teams that were supposed to be good like Mississauga, and you know, they've kind of got off to a slow start. Good for Kingston. I mean, good for Kingston. You know, they got a pretty strong fan base there, and they've started well. So, you know, and they have a team. If not for this year, they're building for the future. I think that's a pretty good sign for them this year.
And it's a nice early story. That's what we like to talk about. That hopefully they can sustain it. Now let's talk about
Flint. No, wait a minute. What about Flint?
Okay, Flint.
That's the game of the week. Flint and Kingston. Like, what's Flint doing?
Well, they're just winning hockey games. You know, they made a trade for Nick Mattinen from London. He's come in and scored a bunch of points for them. They lost a lot off their blue line, and it looks like they've been able to get some younger guys to step up in that role, and it's great to see. You know, guys logging minutes that never have before. That's what you want. That's how you win games in this league, right?
Yeah, and take a look at the divisions, like the Western Conference. Is that flipped? Have you know, I called in the Western Conference standings this morning, and guess who was at 9 and 10? The Erie Otters and the London Knights. Now, seriously, and that tells me a lot of things. You know, it tells me that maybe is the cycle caught up to these teams. You know, the famous cycle where, you know, every 2 or 3 years a team becomes average. You know, when all the players they've traded away, or all the draft choices they've traded away sort of creates a void. I don't know, but
I think what we're gonna talk about here is teenagers going to the NHL. The teenagers going to the NHL. What guys that are even first 5 picks in the NHL going to as teenagers. Like this is starting. I know Vegas is in. I know you save money if you have the young guys play. I know it's getting faster, and maybe some of the older guys are starting to be a little bit too slow or beat up. But I mean, look, we're
talking about Formington. Do you actually think he's going to stick the whole season?
No, but he's starting there.
Well,
and that's 5 games. You wanna say, why are the London Knights 1-4? Why is Mississauga 0-4? Owen Tippett's still with Florida? I mean, these are some of the reasons.
Victor Mete.
I mean, maybe the best defenseman in the league.
Okay, right? So to quote Sherlock Holmes, you know, in looking at all this, when you eliminate the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, is probably the truth. And I don't think I would ever say that, but the truth is that some of these top teams like Erie and London, who have been top teams, are missing dynamic players. Every year they have 2 or 3 dynamic players. Now the dynamic players, you know, maybe the youngsters in Kingston, or maybe, you know, Windsor was supposed to be rebuilding. Look where they are. Sarnia, look where they are. So, you know, the Knights are missing. Mete and Formington are missing dynamic players. And they're a dull team right now. And I think that makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I saw a 16-year-old kid in Oshawa, Nick Wong.
Oh, isn't he terrific?
Second round pick, 7 goals in 5 games. I looked it up. That's what Alex DeBrincat had in his first 5 games with, you know, Player of the Year last year on the Blackhawks this year. And he was a year older than this kid. So it's all trickling down.
Well,
right?
I think it's about bloody time. I think fans are getting sick of seeing the same teams at the top, winning the same. They all get angry at that. I think it's nice to see some other teams do well. Now, is Sarnia going to continue? Good for league business. Is Sarnia going to continue as well as they are? You don't know. But for now, it's a good start, you know. And now you see teams that may start to panic a little bit, even though it's early. Like, holy mackerel, you know, like 1-4 London. You're looking at, you know, Mississauga. You're looking at, you know, some teams that are 3-0. Take a look at that West Division. Holy mackerel, they're all like 4-1, 3-1. You know,
Windsor, the big story of the week.
Supposed to be the rebuilding. So, you know, to me, it's a league that's changing a little bit. That it's right now it's being affected by what it used to affect years ago, and that was these young kids making the NHL. So, you know, now you can't plan to have back a Victor Mete or Formington or some of these other guys. You can't plan to have them back because you just don't know whether they're going to make it, and that's going to affect the thing long term.
Yeah, and it's going to be hard to build teams. It's going to be even harder. You're going to have to do even more, right, to sign free agents and get lucky.
And so in the long run, what are you looking at seriously? Do you think the bottom guy? I don't think Erie will be back. I don't know how good London's going to be this year because, frankly, their defense is not very good and they don't have any puck stoppers. You know,
it's getting harder and harder to make up. If you start poorly, it's getting harder and harder to make up because the gaps are starting to close. These are good organizations, but they're in transition right now. And I mean, you can't say that Erie and London aren't going to be back. I mean, there's too many positives that they're going to be back. Maybe not this year. This could turn into.
No one's saying they're going to be gone forever, but the next month will be pretty important to see where these teams go and whether those teams that are making noise, like the Kingstons, you know, Oshawa a little bit now, you know, whether Mississauga will be able to come back. Those teams, whether they're going to be there in the end.
Yeah, and that's when the things will start shaking, right?
Absolutely.
With trades and stuff like that. Yeah.
Say goodbye.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. I'm Morris Della Costa.
And I'm Ryan Payette from Post Media. We'll see you at the rink.
In the good seats.